Hello and welcome to all. And today I will be teaching you operators within C++, Java, and C also. Let's get started. Firstly, I would let you know that what are the prerequisites you require to go through this video. Firstly is the you should be clear with the concept of data types. You should be clear with the concept of variables, and I have already uploaded a video on variables, and you can check it out. And you should be clear with the main functions and within basics like uh, the basic templates or boiler templates. And after that you should be clear with the print functions. You should be knowing how to print a variable's value and all, and I have discussed it earlier in my variables one video. You can check it out. And after that, you should be clear with the basic maths or till class 8s, like you should be clear with the board mass, like these applications that bracket of divide and all. You should be clear with this stuff, and if you don't, you should just revise it up once. And after that you should watch this video in order to get the most out of it. So let's get started. So after that I will introduce you to operators. Basically operators are symbols which denote some some operations. Yeah. So these are some special symbols which are used to denote some operations like addition, subtractions, and all. So suppose if I have a quantity x or a number x, and if I write plus and y, so basically you know the fundamental that we need to add the numbers and produce the result. Suppose it's z, and it's the final outcome. Similarly, we have two types of operators. So let me first introduce you to the concept of operators and operand. So basically the two numbers which we are adding are referred to as operands, and the operate, this is the symbol which specifies some operation, so it is referred to as operator. And this is the secondary operand, sorry, and this is the result which we get. So you should be clear with the terms like operands and operator, which I will just be casually uh, talking about in the further video. So let's get started with. Now I will just make tell you about the types of operator. So first one is unary. As you are saying the word, you are referring at unary means uni. It can be broken into uni, and uni means one, means only one operator, means it needs only one operand to operate. I will come to it later on. Firstly, let me get into binary. Now unary means uni means one operand only, it needs one operand to operate. Now I would like to introduce you to binary. Bi means two, means it needs two operands to operate. Similarly, but don't think like ternary means three or something like that. It is a special type of operator which is basically used in coding only, and it will get clear to you when you will be more clear with the conditional statements. So I will be showing you the or discussing the overview of it for today. but we will go thoroughly through unary and binary operator. So let's get to what are binary operators. So binary operators, as I said, which needs two operands, and I hope so you are clear with what I meant by operands. Basically, like x plus y, as I told earlier, that is, it is operand, this is operator, and this is again an operand. So as you can see that it needs two operand to operate on. So that's why it's called binary operator. And all the operators like bracket, off, and divide, multiply, add, addition, subtraction require two operands to operate. So as for example, if I write 2 into, so it doesn't makes a sense until it is written 2 into 2 is equal to 4. Then it makes a sense, and it signifies that you need to multiply 2 with 2. That's basically called binary operator, and it doesn't makes a sense if it doesn't have a second operator, which is missing here. So it is illogical, and it can be referred to as 2 needs to be multiplied 2 times. That's why we get the result 4, and that's why we referred it to as binary operator. After that, I would like you to introduce with modulo operator. So I think you are basically clear with the things like operators within the board mass, and things go similar within coding also. No such difference in the working of any such operator. Every operator works as same as within the maths. So basically, the working is same within the mathematics till class 8 you must have gone through. And after that, one new operator I would just like to introduce you to, that is modulo operator. So as you know that sign for divide within coding is signified by like this slanting line, a little bit slant line. But in coding, this operator like this, it signifies modulo. It is not divide. So just be clear with it. These This and this is quite different within coding. It is not like it signifies divide. It is a modulo operator and it is a divide operator. So make sure you are differentiating clearly. So what modulo operator is actually, what happens that when you apply modulo operator, then it works same like you can say divide operator. Suppose you wrote 2 modulo, sorry, 2 divide by 2. What would it give? The result 1. But instead, if you apply a modulo operator, it would basically give you the remainder. So what is remainder? After dividing 2 by 2, what is left? Basically 0. The quotient, and I am thinking that you are clear with the things like divisor, dividend, and quotient, and the remainder. So I am thinking that you are clear with this stuff. uh, at time of division we refer to. So when we apply the division operator, we basically get the quotient. But when we apply the modulo operator, we get the remainder. So basically, here, if you apply the divide operator, you will basically get 1 as a result. But if you will apply modulo operator, which has this sign, you will get basically 0. Similarly, I would like to take one more example, that is 4 modulo 3. What would happen now? If you will divide 4 by 3, you will divide it by 1 times and you will be left with 1. Yeah. So the result will be 1. Similarly, if I divide 4 by let's say 5, what you will be left with? Will 5 divide 4? The answer is no. So you will just get 4 as a result, because it will not divide, and still the remainder will be 4. That's why you will get the uh, you can say the 4 at is as it is. So what we learn is, when we use the division operator, basically division division operator, we get the quotient. And when we use the modulo operator, I think you could easily find it out within your keyboard. Sorry for the writing. Modulo operator, we get the remainder. So you need to keep it in mind that these are two different things, and when we get use the division operator, we get the quotient, and if we use the modulo operator, we will get the remainder. After that, hope you are clear with it. And after that, I would like to discuss about the bitwise operator. uh, Actually, I would not like to discuss it now because you will not be able to grasp it. Why? Because once you are clear with the thing concept of binary addition and all, addition, subtraction, and basically about the binary numbers, then you will be able to grasp it more. Bitwise operator, otherwise it will be like it is more of a big concept. It can't be explained like uh, on the time or on the go. So I would recommend that do note it down somewhere, and do note it down somewhere. If you are in your first year of your college, you will basically come up with the subject called introduction to digital system, where you will study about the semiconductors and all. And in that subject only, you will come across the operators like some of the gates, logic gates, and or not. So at that time, pay your most of your concentration and see these operators how they work there, and the same working would be done here. And you can operate, or you can say use directly that operator within the operands. And basically you can do binary subtraction, addition, or not, XOR. These are some operators. You will just grasp it more once you are clear with these things, and or not gates within the subject called IDS, introduction to digital system, or might it be taught with some other name to you. But in that, you will just come up with the semiconductors and logic gates basically. And once you are clear with the logic gates, then you will be able to just understand this bitwise operator in a more logical and conceptual way. So hope you are clear. Kindly write it somewhere, and do go through the topics which are taught seriously, because in first year many of us are like just roaming here and there. So don't waste time and just pay attention there. After that, I would now like you to know about the internal working, what actually happens. So when I have taught you about variables, so you are much familiar with the memory creation and all. I have already taught you, and kindly refer to that, because if you are not much clear with this memory creation, how things work behind the scene at times of variables, I think this video will be a little hard to understand for you. So better watch it first and then come to this. So after after that, when you are clear with variables, just come here and see the video. So first of all, what happens is, when I write x plus y, what happens is, basically it will, first the computer will just target the value at x. Suppose it's 2. Suppose I have a variable named x and a variable named y, which contains value of 4 and of 5. Suppose I have written int x is equal to 4 and int y is equal to 5. So when I write x plus y, what happens is, first the computer goes to x, so the memory location x, then it will see the value at x, so it's 4. So what will happen, that 4 will come here, then uh, here comes y, it will target to y, then once it has targeted to y, it will see the value at y, that is 5. Then after that, what will happen is, it will perform a addition. As you can see that there are two operands and one operator. It would gradually perform a addition operation, and which will give the result 9. After that, you have to store the result. What I meant to say, that if you are just getting the result, and as you know that computer is like a little child, the suppose you have taught him how to add, he has added, he has got the result, but in order to tell you, he needs to remember that. And in order to remember, I have already told you that we need to create variables, or create or take help of variables in order to store the value, in order to make the little child, or you can say the computer, remember. So when you have applied this operation x plus y, then you will get a value, and this is basically an integer value only. So what you can do is basically create a variable int z, and in that is equal to assign the value of these two. And what's that? That is 9. So another variable, or you can say memory space, will be created, and there 9 will be stored. But the catch is, you need when you are adding these, you are getting an integer value only. But suppose if you had integer value, it suppose x was an integer value and y was a float value, and I think you are much clear with what you can say, the data types within the different language or in your particular language. So make sure you are clear with that. So when you are suppose y is a float value and it has 5.5. Okay, then if now then I add x plus y, what would be the result? That is 9.5. It would be somewhere 9.5. But if I will store this in integer, is it a integer value? And that's basically not. It's now a float value. So in order to store that this float value, you will basically need a float type of data type variable. So instead of integer, we will gradually make a variable of float and store there the value of this. And it then, if we print z, it would give us the value as 9.5. But suppose you have written x plus y, and uh, if you have just written here integer only within the data type, then what would happen is that in z you will have only 9. Only the integer part of the particular value will be stored. And what would it lead to is basically data loss. And we don't want it to happen. That's why you need to be clear that the summation or what the data type of the particular you can say operation would be, and you will assign the particular data in that particular type of variable. So if you are not doing so, you will lead to data loss. And similarly, you can try for other types of data and try to store in, suppose uh, if we just divide some, suppose a has a value of 4 and b has a value of 3, and if we divide a by b, what would it give? That somewhere around 1 point, which is a 9, and 1.33, and like on, like this it will go on. So if we want to store this 1.333 or something like that, then we will need a float type of variable only. And if we will not do so, then what will happen? Then if I will try to store it in a integer variable, then the value would be just 1, and that would lead to gradually to data loss, and that we don't want to happen. So we will just take care of it. So I would like you to just explore through the variables or through the various data types and conversions, and at time of operation you should just go through, like, and whatever you think, just implement it in your particular language. I will just tell you the syntax further. So hope you are clear with this, that behind the scene how the things work. Now we will head on to some basic operations with coding snippets. So now what I would like you to do is basically just write the code, or you can say copy the code within the online compiler, and just run the code. And before running, just predict the outcomes, or you can say the value of particular variables, what will be the actual value, and go through all of these particular you can say the values of the variables like a b c d. First analyze that according to you what will be it, and write on a paper, and after that run the code and see what's the outcome. And if it matches, congratulations, you have successfully understood the concept in a and you are just learning the things. And if you are not able to predict, or somewhere it lacks, or you are giving the wrong answer, then just refer to the video once more, or you can say replay the video, so you could get a better understanding. After that, now we will head on to ternary operator. So as I have already told you that within ternary operator, I will only give you an overview, because it requires a concept of conditional statements, and I have not just taught you. And once you are clear with the conditional statement, then you will be able to understand ternary operators in a more concise and more good way, you can say, conceptual way. So conditional operators are basically something which I would like to discuss later, but let me give you an overview of ternary operator. Basically, it is a conditional statement in one line or shorter version of if else statement. Shorter version of if else statement. So you can say it as conditional statement in one line or a shorter version of if else statements. So what actually happens is within this operator you specify a statement and you specify a statement, and if the statement is true, shit, yeah, true. If the statement is true, then a particular condition or there is given condition, two conditions are actually given, true or false. Yeah, condition 2. So what happens if condition is true? Then condition 1, sorry, statement 1. I should not write. If the statement is true, then statement 1 will be executed, or the condition is false, then statement 2 will be executed. Let me give you an shorter example. Suppose uh, if you are in class 8th, is basically a conditional statement. uh, if you are in class 8th, suppose if someone said that if you are in class 8, then you will go to water park or you will go to children park. So what is specifies that related to the statement that if you are in class 8. So what would happen is that if you can be in class 8 or you can't be in class 8, it can be true or either false. It is a conditional statement. So what will happen that if the statement is true, if you are in class 8, then you will visit to water park. If it's false, then you will visit to children's park. That's basically a ternary operator. So what basically special is you have a single conditional statement, you have only two choices for the particular conditional statement. So things like these are referred to as ternary operator, and you will get to know about the syntax and all further in further videos. At time I will teach you conditional statement, because at that time you will just grasp it better, and with more concept it would be a more joyful learning than learning it now. It would be a little bit harder way, you can say. So after that, hope you are clear with the basic overview of this. After that, we will just carry on to unary operator. So, oh shit. So, this is the most important part of this video. Why I am saying most important? Because this is used to just uh, confuse you in many interviews, questions, any aptitude or any means any sort of test will uh, most will will ask you. It's obvious that it will ask you this topic based question. And it is obvious also because it this concept is less clear to many of people. Many of the people are not very much clear to this concept, and for sorry for my English, sometimes I get stuck, and because I'm new to this. So after that I will and unary, why it is called unary, I have explained you earlier also, that because of one operand only. Suppose 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 you require, what you want to do is gradually increase the value of anything by one, or anything, or you can say any variable. You can say you just want to increase its value by one or decrease its value by one. Then you can gradually write a is equal to a plus 1. What would happen? First it would go to the position a in the memory location. Might there be some value 3, then it will just bring the value here. 3 plus 1 is equal to 4, and this value will be assigned to a again. Then this memory location will now contain 4. So in this way we can increment its value by 1, or just do the vice versa. We can decrement also. So we can do it by this way, but uh, every time if you will just go on with writing like this, will it make the code more complicated? uh, Actually yes. So what we do is basically use unary operator. What unary operator does is, suppose you have a variable with value 5. If you want to increase its value by 1, what you will do, that is a plus plus 1. Now what the value will become is 6. How is I explained you earlier. But instead of this, what we do is this, a plus plus. It will also increase the value of a. So what actually will happen is, first the particular memory location will be accessed. Suppose a is a memory location with name a is there, and it contains 5. Particular memory location will be accessed. 5 is accessed there, and there after that it has two plus plus signs, and it will just increase the value by 1. And what will happen is, value is increased by 1. Now if we will print the value, we will get value as 6, because it will just increase the value by 1. And further if you do like, then you again do a plus plus, then after that again the value will be incremented by only 1. So in this way, unary operator takes only one operator, basically a. One operator, sorry, operator not operand, and only one operand is taken, and only on that one operand the particular operation is takes place. That's why it's called unary operator. First, I think you are clear with that concept. Now there are two types of unary operator. First, post increment, and after that pre increment. What do you mean by post increment? Is, post means uh, after something. You can basically say after something. Pre means before something. So If the plus plus sign or minus minus sign is written after the variable, then it is referred to as post increment operator. But if it is written before the variable's name, then it is referred to as pre increment operator. Why and what's the difference? So pre increment and post increment is the first it will assign the value, then it will increment the value. And in pre increment operator, it will increment first then assign. Let me just tell you one thing, that please, it is my humble request that please do remember these 2 points thoroughly. Assign first and then increment, and this for pre increment, increment first and then assign. Please go through it, and please remember it thoroughly. It is literally a key, or you can say sort of hack for every question. You can just solve every sort of question if you have these things in mind, because it will literally make every question a cakewalk for you. And if you are not just learning this, and if you are familiar with in the increment operator, then it is okay. So but please go through it and just remember it, the 2 points, that increment first then assign. So what actually happens is, when we write x plus plus, then if a variable is having a value of suppose 5, and if we write x plus plus, then what happens is, what I have written is assign first then increment. So what will happen is, if I am trying to print x plus plus, then what will happen is, assign first means assign first then increment. What will happen, that value of x will be assigned to print, means if 5 is the value of x, then 5 will just come up here first, and it will be printed. And behind the scene, what will happen, that one more you can say sort of uh, work would be done, that you have to increase the value of a by 1. So if you have just you can say increase the value, or you can say, if you have written a plus plus, what will happen, that if first print assign first, means at this place a plus plus, the value of a will be assigned here, a will come, first work is done. Now the value of a will be printed on the screen. After that, in the in the back side, or you can say what actually happens behind the scene, that the value within a, or at the place of a, will be increased by 1. Now it will be increased by 1. First it will print, then it will increase. After that, if we again print the value of a, then it will print 6. Why? Because first it will assign then increment. The value of a will be assigned here, then behind the scene it will be incremented by 1 to 6. And after that, when I am trying to print the value of a, then it's again giving me 6, because internally it has been increased. The second time I am trying to print, it will give 6. Similarly happens with uh, pre-increment. So what happens in pre-increment is, if we write plus plus a, then what will happen is, first increment then assign. What will happen is, if we try to print a plus plus a, then first the value of a will be extracted and incremented, as it is written increment first. So the value of a will be extracted. Like if we have int a is equal to 5, then it will be extracted. 5 will come here, then it will be increased to 6, then it will be printed. And behind the scene at this time, the value is not increased. After the statement is executed, then the value will gradually increase to 6. Let me explain it once more. Suppose if you have a variable a with value 5, if you write plus plus, if you try to print plus plus a, what will happen? First value will be just extracted. At place of a, 5 will come, then it will be increased, then it will print increased 6, and then all of this is done, then it will print 6. But behind the scene, one work is left, that increase the value of a by 1, and that's the catch. You need to just remember that first what will happen, if you write plus plus a, the value of a will be extracted, so there it will come plus plus 5, then it will be incremented here, here only, not actual place. In the actual place it will not be incremented, but at time of just printing it will be incremented to 6. Now it will be get incremented to 6, and 6 will be printed. But behind the scene, after this, one more work is left, that now it will go to the actual position of a and increment it by 1, and it will become 6, and that is known as pre-increment. So what basically happens is, you can say, every time is first extraction of value is done. Let me remove this. Extraction of value is done. First the value is extracted, as you have all as I told you, just like a plus plus, then first the value of a will be extracted, then according to the statements the work will go on. Second, according to statement work will be done. So after the value of a is extracted, then the compiler will see, then when it will be a post increment operator, then it will assign first. Means that if you're trying to print a plus plus, then what it will do is basically assign first, means assign 5 the value to print statement, and this statement would gradually print 6. Behind the scene, one work will be added, that to just increment the value of a, and it will just increment the value to 6. Similarly, if we just write plus plus a at time of printing the value, then what will happen is, first it will extract the value, here it will come 5, then we have the operator left, then it will increment the value also. When means increment first, then assign. Incrementation is done, it will become 6, and it is assigned to the print statement, and 6 will be printed. Behind the scene, one work will be done, that is just to increase value of uh, A by 1. Hope you understood it, and you are pretty much clear with pre-increment and post-increment operators within our suite. Within the particular languages. Now I will just let you know how to. These are some basic snippets, and I want you to just uh, get uh, get familiar with this by just writing the snippets within the online compilers and use them to just understand more by yourself, and also explore the a plus plus operator. Just write a plus plus in place of plus plus a and try to explore what happens actually. Then you will get clear with these concepts more and more you will questions, you will practice, you will just get to know the things better. After that, I have something more for you. One of the best questions asked, that is this. Just go through the increment and decrement operators, go through these the basic snippets I have shown, and after that go through this. If you are clear with the internal working of the operators, basically unary operators, go and execute these snippets, and just calculate the results by yourself first. After that, calculate the and run the code and see the result, what actually is. And if it's according to your you can say prediction, then I think you have understood it in the best, or you can say crystal clear to you it is. And if it's not, then I think you should uh, just try to grasp the basic snippets, and I will just gradually make a short video on this question for a better you can say concept clearing uh, class, like short video. And I will just let you know more about this, just basically for this question only, not everyone. So for this, and just now the things to be done by your side, that's you should just go through the data types concept. That was basically if you are dividing an integer with a float, or a float and vice versa, and try to store the value within different variables or within the same variable. And what I meant to say by the same variable, if you just want to store the value of a plus b within a, then it's nothing wrong. Suppose you have two variables, a has 5, b has 4, and if you are writing this statement, what it means that it will assign the value of a plus b at a only. So what will happen is, first it will just extract the value of a, which is 5. Then it will extract the value of b, that is 4. Then the result will be 9. And what will happen now, that 9 will be stored to this location only, 9. So hope so that you are not afraid, or you can say your concepts are much clear with this, and you are not uh, afraid of this statement, what it will tell. So I think you should just try these, and you should apply every sort of operator. Every operator you should apply and see the results, what happens, what not, and is it according to your result you thought of. And if not so, then try more and more, and try to explore the web also, because self learning is also a part. And after that, you should also just try to implement these basic snippets. And once you are just done with all these, and if you are getting the right result, then do comment what's your result, and you should implement these also. And I have just implemented the pre-incremented, but you should also implement the post-increment operator also. So hope you are just uh, familiar with it now and good to go. Thank you, and hope you understood. And if not so, then just write in the comments, and I will provide you with some more, you can say, examples for this unary operator, because it's very much important topic. So kindly do cover it as good as you can, because most questions are asked from here only regarding the incrementation of variables. Thank you and have a nice day.